Okay, welcome everybody. So we're holding on, I think it's now the fifth shiur, sixth shiur on Torah Daled. And as Rabbi Yonah said last time, it's not a race. We're not in a rush. And we're starting now at Ois Tes, letter number 9 in this Torah. So as everybody knows, we're in the middle of a long Torah that's complex and has a lot going on. But as we stated from the beginning, we're breaking this Torah up into sections and being able to take from the sections something at each individual shiur as well. Besides for the fact that it all fits together in this beautiful mosaic of unbelievable Torah ideas that come together. So today, we are coming on the heels of the last few classes, understanding the idea of connecting to a tzaddik on a deep level. And how do we do that? And Rabbi Nachman gave us 3 main ways of connecting to a tzaddik. And we spoke about the ideas, just very quickly, of seeing the face of the tzaddik, which we understood that nowadays the way that we can do that to connect to Rabbi Nachman is through reading his Sfarim and following the advice in his Sfarim. Like we mean it, really doing it, right? Going to the kever of Rabbi Nachman, those are the main ideas. Learning from his students, right? That's how we see the face of Rabbi Nachman, because the Or HaPanim, the spiritual, kabbalistic light that Rabbi Nachman brought into the world, which is called the Or HaPanim, which means face, is encapsulated in the Sfarim and in his ideas. That's the first idea. The second one was by when we give tzedakah, that we should give tzedakah to the tzaddik, or to, in this case, to the institutions that further the teachings of Rabbi Nachman, or that follow and this works with any tzaddik, by the way. We're talking about Rabbi Nachman because this is a Breslov shiur. Right? So we're going to give tzedakah anyway. How do we really connect to Rabbi Nachman when we're giving tzedakah? So we give it to things that are going to further the teachings of Rabbi Nachman. If I've been blessed with some amazing connection to a tzaddik and I feel connected to that tzaddik, so how do I make that connection stronger? I really do it, right? I try to further those teachings of the tzaddik. I put my effort into learning the ideas of that tzaddik, and I really do it. Yeah? What was the third one? Third one is vidui, devarim, in front of the tzaddik, is confession in front of the tzaddik. So this is something that we understood in a beautiful way. One of the ways that it's brought down in the commentaries in the back, the Parparos LeChochma, is that when we speak to a tzaddik and we meet with such a person and we give over with complete honesty our whole situation. There's no lies, there's no cover-ups, there's no nothing. I give over to this tzaddik what my issues are, what my situation is. And then that tzaddik is able to see right through to the root of my neshama and is able to connect with me on that base level, and then is able to advise me parshas derachim. He's able to be mafresh derech for me. He's able to explain to me what it is that I need to do to get out of the place that I'm in.
But how do you do this vidui?
We'll talk about it. That was last week's class. But let me move this over here for a second, sorry. So in a practical sense, if you're talking with someone who's alive, about someone who's alive, so then it works. Then you go in front of this person, and a Rebbe like this, we brought a quote, if you remember, from the Rabbi Landa, who was nifter recently, the chief rabbi of Bnei Brak, from his father, who was very close to the Rebbe Rashab of Chabad, and he had this beautiful statement that what it means to really have a Rebbe is to mean that when you speak with your Rebbe, there's nothing hidden. There's nothing you wouldn't tell him. You would tell him exactly those things that you're embarrassed about, that you're afraid to tell anyone else, you would tell him. And there would be no judgment and no nothing. He would give you what you need spiritually. So Lamaisa, nowadays, we accomplish this through Hisbodedus. And through, in our Hisbodedus, following this path of Rabbi Nachman and connecting to him on a spiritual level. And in his Boidadus, one of the aspects, there's many aspects of his Boidadus, right? There's in his Boidadus, one can be thanking Hashem for everything that he has. One can be asking for help with things. One can be just working through issues. But one aspect is judging oneself. This is from the words of Rabbi Nachman, very, very clearly, is that part of my Hisbodedus has to be looking into my own actions and talking to Hashem about them, right? Discussing them, figuring them out. And this is a vidui. This is a type of vidui on a deep level where you're connecting on a very deep level. So that's a very concise version of the last few classes that we've been talking about on a much deeper level. So now we're going to get into this unbelievable. This is like some of my favorite type of Torah now. It's very, very deep, and I don't want to get too Rabbi Tatzi on us right now, but we're literally going to be talking about the type of things that we actually can't properly understand, right? We're going to be talking about concepts that cross the boundaries between finite and infinite, which we can't really understand, right? We don't even have the proper words to understand these things, but we're given a derech that we can connect to them and we can understand them on the best possible level we can. And as we learn and as we grow in our own knowledge and in our own Torah, we always start to understand it on a deeper and deeper level, right? But the question is like this: what is it? What is the power of such a tzaddik? Why is it that when I go in front of such an amazing tzaddik, he's able to see to my root, to the root of my neshama? And why is it that my confession, when I'm doing vidui and I'm telling this tzaddik what I've done, why is it that he can help me achieve an atonement and that he can help me, he give me the exact right path that I need to follow? What does he have that a regular person doesn't have?
X-ray eyes.
X-ray eyes?
He's more connected.
He's more connected? Okay, I think they're both correct, actually. He might have spiritual X-ray vision, but let's see how awesome this Torah is, how awesome these ideas are, and you'll help me. I'm going to do my best to explain in our language. You know, there's different words that we say for explaining these things and explaining kabbalistic things. Well, you know, really, we're not allowed to talk about Hashem in any way whatsoever. The Torah tells us and explains to us how we're able to relate to Hashem in like the form of a man, right? Even though Hashem has no image, no body, no form, no nothing. All these terms that we use to understand Hashem are l'shachech es ha'ozen is one of the words, is to soften the ear, to be able to give us a way to connect. So we're going to do our best to get through this and understand it properly to the best level. So he says like this, number 9, ois tes. V'zeh, b'chol pam shaba eitzel talmid chacham, u'mesaper lafanav kol libai. Every time that you come in front of such a talmid chacham, such a tzaddik, and you tell over to him your whole heart, v'talmid chacham hu bechinas Moshe, and this talmid chacham is a bechina of Moshe Rabbeinu, is an aspect of Moshe Rabbeinu, shehu bechinas ayin, who is an aspect of nothingness. K'moshe kasav ve'achachma me'ayin timatzeh. Like the pasuk says, ve'achachma me'ayin timatzeh. The literal translation of that pasuk is, where is chachma found? But the way that we read it is chachma, where is it found? Me'ayin. Me'ayin usually means where, but in this sense it means chachma comes from ayin. Chachma comes from nothingness. Chachma comes from someone who is so humble and has been so mevatel themselves, has broken down everything so much that they have completely been mevatel their own self, so that they are nothing. There's nothing blocking them from a connection to Hashem, right? So we said, many times, the number one quality of a tzaddik and the number one quality of any leader that we always have to find is a person who's humble. If you see arrogance in a person who's a leader, they have a function, they probably are smart, and they probably have what to say, but if you're talking about how to connect and guidance to the root of your soul, that's the wrong person. Someone who's arrogant, run away, right? Number one quality of a leader. They have to be humble. They have to be mevatel themselves. They have to become ayin. They have to become nothing. V'zeh bechinas zarka. V'zeh bechinas zarka. Is the rikas la'asar the isnatilas mitaman. So this is an aspect of the. Everybody knows that there's cantillation notes for the Torah, right? So when we read the Torah, it's sung. There's a tune to it, right? So there's cantillation marks. One of those cantillation marks is called zarka. And the note zarka kind of starts low and then goes up, as if it's being thrown upwards, right? So I'll just tell you something. There's a section of the Kisvei Arizal in the writings of Kabbalah called Shar HaTanta. Tanta is an acronym for Tagim, Oisios. Sorry, Tanta is an acronym for Tamim, Oisios. Sorry, Tamim. What does the Tanta stand for? Tagim, Taimim, Nekudos.
Truck?
No.
That's Tagin.
Tamim, Nekudos.
Tamim is in Tagin?
Tagin and Oisios. So Tamim, Nekudos, Tamim and Oisios. Tagin and Oisios. That means the Tamim are the musical notes. Nekudos are the vowels. Tagin are the little crowns on the letters. And Oisios are the letters themselves. Right? So the way that a Torah is written is also reflective of all of existence. These four aspects correspond to the four letters of Hashem's name, Yud Kei Vav Kei. And they correspond to the way that the infinity of the Ein Sof of Hashem comes down into the finite world that we live in. That whole system is what Kabbalah is, right? And it's all broken up into certain steps, how we go from complete non-physicality and infinity down to physicality and finite world. Okay? The top level is Tamim, is the musical notes. Music, in this sense, plays a very, very high level role in existence, right? But the way you see it, that's so interesting, is if you look in a Sefer Torah, if we would take out a Sefer Torah right now and look in it, you would see the letters and the crowns, but there's no nekudas, there's no vowels, and there's no musical notes. That has to be memorized, right? So one of the aspects is, one of the reasons why we say it's like that, is because those aspects are so spiritually high that they can't even be brought down into physical existence. They don't even get written down in the Torah, because they're so spiritually high, right? So this musical note aspect is a very high level of spiritual understanding and spiritual connection. So Rabbi Nachman is bringing us over here, from the way that Tikkun Zohar explains it, that the note Zarka is connected to this concept of Teshuvah and to the concept of throwing something back up to its source. That's the way this musical note works, the Zarka. It throws something back up from where it starts low and goes up, right? The shape of the note also. It goes down and then goes back up, right? This is the concept of tshuva. So he says, Shehechzir esa malchus la'Ein Sof. What's this concept? Is returning the malchus to the Ein Sof. We'll talk about this in 1 second. Shehu ratzon shebekol retzonos. We all remember, maybe, that in the kabbalistic structure, we start at the very top. There's many ways it can be broken up, but one of the ways is with the 10 spheres. The top is Keser. Keser, Chochma, Bina, Zeranpin, which is made of 6 of them, and then Malchus at the very bottom, right? So the Malchus is the lowest of all the spheres. And one of the aspects is raising that Malchus back up to its source in infinity, which in this sense we're going to call Keser, right? The crown is bringing the Malchus back up to Keser. So this note is this concept. So how is that coming into play over here? Ki Malchus shehu bechinas oisios hadiburim. Malchus is connected to our method of speech and the letters that make up our speech. Kol ois va'ois, each letter. Why is Malchus connected to this? We know that Malchus is connected to speech, and Malchus is connected to letters in the sense that it's called Malchus Peh, right? Malchus Peh. So the mouth is the sphere that's connected to Malchus when it's looked at only as the head. I know this is a lot of information, but if we take those 10 same spheres and we look at them in the corresponding to a person's head, the bottom is the mouth. That's Malchus. And that's the place where diburim, where speech comes out of. So Malchus is connected to letters and speech. Each individual letter, Malubash ba Ratzon Hashem Yisbarach. Each individual letter, enclosed in that letter, is the Ratzon Hashem, is the will of Hashem, the desire of Hashem. Sheratzon Hashem Haya, Ratzon Hashem Yisbarach Haya, the will of the God was Shezois Ha'ois Ye'ela Tamuna Kazu, that this particular letter should be in this particular form, should look like this. This is Ratzon Hashem, that an Aleph should be a Vav with a Yud and a Yud. That's Ratzon Hashem, that it should appear like this. And each letter is different. We're going to expand this in 1 second. Va'ois acheres ye'ela tamuna acheres, and a different letter would have a different form. Nimtza sheretzonos hainu tamunos oisios hem his galus malchus yisbarach shemo. It comes out that in this realm, each letter represents the will of Hashem being revealed in this world. It was Ratzon Hashem that a Beis looks like a Beis, and that an Aleph looks like an Aleph, and then a Yud looks like a Yud. And the fact that we have those letters and they have certain shapes is coming right up from the top desire of Hashem, the top Ratzon of Hashem, of the Ein Sof, of the infinite, had this desire, and it comes down and is revealed in the physical world the way it is. That is a revelation of the desire of Hashem. I know that's very deep, and it's going to become grounded in a second. But think of it this way also. Reb Nosson Maimon says a mashal like this that helps us to understand this a little bit. Imagine you go into someone's house, right? And I would love to ask people what their houses look like, but I don't want to do that. But imagine you go into someone's house, right? Here's a great example. I was recently at a wedding in New York, and we rented an Airbnb just for a few hours in the night because we came in during the day and we had to be at the airport at 4 a.m. So we had like 3 hours to sleep. So we rented this cheap B&B that belonged to some young girl. And this place was like, I don't know the proper words to explain it nowadays, but it's like kind of like hippie-ish. I don't know, like everything was like, there was like, Buddhist sayings on the wall, and there was a card thanking coming to the Women's March, and everything was organic, and everything was like fair trade. I'm not saying any of this is bad, by the way, just in case anybody is wondering. But what do you see when you go into this person's house and you see everything that's in their house? You see that it's their will and their desire that their house should look like this, and that all of the things that they desire and they want are visible to us when we see the way that this person lives in their house, right? So too, when we look into the world, anything that we see in the world, right, including each other, and everything we look at, all the chairs, all the tables, all the nature, the trees, and everything, when we see it, we are seeing that it is Ratzon Hashem, that it's supposed to be this way, right? Oh boy, this could go on forever, this discussion. Whatever's happening to me, whatever I'm feeling, everything that's happening in the world right now is a revelation that this is the way Hashem wants it to be, right? We're seeing the will of Hashem in the world. Are you everybody with me on that? You're not so with me. Okay.
Be partners in,
Yeah,
in
100%.
creation, so
We're partners in
whatever we see,
creation.
It's not the way it's supposed to be.
Hashem wants it to be exactly the way it is, in order so that we can participate in it. But it's supposed to be exactly the way it is right now, so that
We're supposed to be Misakin.
we can be Masakin, 100%, right? So Rabbi Nachman is choosing to take this idea that the will of Hashem and the desire of Hashem, the desire of the infinite, is visible in the world through the way we see it. He's attaching this specifically to the Aleph base and to the letters, right? The fact that the letters look the way they do and each one has a different form is an expression of the will of Hashem, that they should be exactly like that. And I think one of the reasons he's doing it in this way is because there's also tremendous Kabbalah to the letters of the Aleph base, right? And there's a lot of depth to exactly what each of the letters mean. So besides for the fact that we can understand this concept, there's also tremendous depth behind it as well, which I think is one of the reasons he's using this concept. So, v'chol elu haretzonos, all of these desires of Hashem that we see, hainu hatamunos, the pictures, the images that we see, nimshachin meratzon ein sof, they are drawn down into the world from the will of the infinite. She'ein boy tamuna. The infinite nature of Hashem, the Ein Sof, which we call, everybody knows that the word Ein Sof means no end, means unending, right? The infinite nature of Hashem. There's no form, there's no space, there's no time, there's no thought, there's not even any light. We only call it the light of the Ein Sof because light is the closest we can come to understanding a totally non-physical existence. Right? But no space, no time, no nothing. There's amazing meditations that we can do to think about this concept. Right? But that's Ein Sof, that's the infinite. And there's no tamuna, no picture, no form involved in there whatsoever. But in this world, everything that we see that has image and has form is drawn down from the will of that formless, infinite existence. And we see it unfolding, the desire in this world. That's the deepest level ratzon that we can possibly understand. And by the way, there's another level of Hashem's true existence, which is referred to in the kabbalistic Sfarim as the atzmus of Hashem, which means, I guess you could say, the essence of Hashem, which even in Kabbalah is just, they say, but that we can't even talk about. We're already talking about things that we can't talk about. That we really don't actually even talk about. The actual existence of Hashem. The Ora Ein Sof, the light of the infinite, is already something that's sort of not the actual existence of Hashem. But that's the best we can do. But anyway, the main concept is, from that existence of infinite, and there's nothing there, there's nothing, this world comes into existence and we see a lot of somethings. The main idea that we're conveying over here, check this out, okay, is that everything that we see is a something, is a yesh, right? Everywhere we look. Whenever we define in the world, we define things by their finite extremities, right? If you want to explain to someone what a sphere is, you don't talk about the middle part of it, which we can't really see. You talk about the fact that its edges are a spherical shape. Right? A square we define by its edges, by its outermost limits. Right? That's the finite world is defined by the finite nature of form. Where do things end? Right? That's how we understand them. Some things have end. So the Ein Sof, which is totally infinite, right? Hashem, which is totally infinite, is really the opposite of being a something. In a sense, the existence of Hashem is absolute nothingness. You could say everythingness, right? But really, it's the opposite of saying something. You understand? So that uppermost existence of Hashem is ayin, is nothing, is complete hisbatless. Nothing else exists but that existence of Hashem. And if we would try to exist together with the light of the Ein Sof, with that deep existence of Hashem, we would just be completely obliterated and wiped out by the light, by the Ora Ein Sof, by the light of Hashem. Because we can't exist together with infinity. Because as soon as we exist together with infinity, you can't even say it, right? That means that wherever I exist, there's an end. And the infinite is not in that space where I am. In true 100% all-encompassing infinity, all that can exist is infinity. Okay? All right. So, v'chol hadavarim v'hayeshus sheba'olam he me'ha'oisiyos. Everything in existence and all of the yeshus. Yeshus means somethingness. It means, yesh means something, right? If you want to talk Hebrew and you want to say, there is a table, you say, yesh shulchan. This table is there. It exists. Yeshus means existence. If I'm talking about myself, I would say my Yeshus is like my self existence, right? Everything that's something in the world comes from the letters of the Aleph base. Hainu mi malchus, meaning coming from the malchus level of existence. Ki Yeshus hu machmas malchus, because all of existence, all of somethingness is because of malchus. What does this mean? Sheratza HaKadosh Baruch Hu sheyizgale malchus ba'olam. Hashem wanted it. The ratzon of Hashem, the will of Hashem, was that His kingdom should be revealed in the world. His kingship should be revealed in the world. Va'al yedei zeh, and through this, bara es ha'olam me'ayin liyesh. He created the world from nothingness into somethingness. Right? Everybody knows, we've said this 100 times in this year, the concept of malchus, kingdom, kingship. Ein melech beloy am. You cannot have a king without a nation. Right in the beginning of the Sefer Oitzer Chaim, which is one of the kabbalistic svarim, he says that Hashem wanted, why did Hashem create existence? In order so that people could call Him merciful. Rachum v'chanan. Right? Merciful and graceful. Meaning what? If there's no Bnei Yisrael, if there's no humanity that can recognize Hashem, there's no Malchus. Right? What is there? There's just infinite Hashem. That's it. Only once we are here can we actually look to Hashem and call Him King. Right? Why did He want to do that? That is beyond our level of understanding. Exactly why. There's things to talk about the kavana of the bria, why Hashem started creation to begin with, right? Mostly that it's in His nature to do good. But the idea over here, the main idea, is that He created the somethingness so that His malchus could exist. Because where He is, it's only nothingness. V'chol haretzonos, and all of His desires, hainu temunos, v'chol hayeshus, all of the forms and images, all of the existence that's in this world, hainu bechinas malchus, makablim chiyusa miratzon ein sof. It is all in this realm of malchus, of the kingdom of Hashem. It's all receiving its life force from the desire of Hashem that it should exist. The desire of Hashem that it should exist. This physical world, in this sense, the physical world we live in, is malchus. Everything that exists only exists because of the will of Hashem that it should exist. Kamosh Kosov, like the pasuk says, any place where you see the greatness of Hashem, this is a great reading of this pasuk. Any place where you see the greatness of Hashem, hainu malchusai, meaning His malchus, His kingdom, hainu ritzonos, those are His desires. Sham ata moitzeh an v'sanusai. There you will find His humbleness, His humility, His, what does it mean to be completely humble? It means to be nothingness. That's where you will find hainu ratzon ein sof. Ratzon ein sof is that existence where there's nothing. Only pure Hashem existence. There's nothing that you could call something in that existence. Do you hear how silly that is? How hard it is to explain this concept? There's nothing that you could call something in that existence. It's just Hashem. So the way that we're understanding that, and one of the reasons why it's called this Bechin of Ayin, is because there's nothing there. I sometimes like to say, I'm not sure if it's right or not, but that it's also everything. It's everything and nothing, right? But this world, there's a lot of somethings, and in Hashem, it's all just is, right? And that's nothingness. And so in that realm, that's called the humility, the humbleness of Hashem, where Hashem just exists with nothing else around, with nothing, period. I know that's really hard to grasp, but I hope it's coming through a little bit. Okay, so that's the realm of Hashem and this realm. So what's the function of the tzaddik? What does the tzaddik do that's so amazing and so special? So he says, "V'zeh bechinas hispashtus hagashmius." This is also the bechina, the concept of hispashtus hagashmius. That means throwing off, removal of physicality. Removal of physicality. Because when someone wants to be enveloped, encompassed in the Ratzon Ein Sof, in the desire of the infinite, tzarich levatel es hayeshus shaloi. That person must totally nullify their own existence. So meaning what? You know what, I'm going to keep reading because it's going to come out a little bit more. If we want to be encompassed in the infinite nature of Hashem, right? We have to remove our own self. We have to remove all of these things like we talk about that are all our blockages. The way that we often say it is that if we want to be able to receive what Hashem has to give us, we have to throw out all the garbage. We have to empty out the vessel because it's full. And if the vessel's full, nothing's coming in. So what's it filled with? Everything that everyone has. It's filled with gashmias, it's filled with stress, it's filled with worry, it's filled with fear, it's filled with ego. All of these things are filling up our vessel. And if they're there, then the full connection that we can have with Hashem is not being made. Right? Because we're full. There's a lot of us there. A lot of our yeshus. A lot of our existence. So we got to empty it out. We got to throw it out. That's how we can be encompassed in the infinite nature of Hashem. V'zeu shekasuv b'zoyar shehistalkus Moshe b'Shabbos b'shayta demincha. This is what it means, where it says in the Zohar that when Moshe Rabbeinu was nifter, it happened on Shabbos at mincha time. She'az his galus raiva derivin, because that time of Shabbos mincha is the place that's called raiva derivin, which means the desire of desires, the ratzon shebaratzon. That is the highest spiritual time of all of existence, is Shabbos Shalosh Shudas time. It's crazy. So at that time, shehu bechinas ratzon ein sof. That's the ratzon of the ein sof. That's the desire of the infinite. Shekol haratzonos makabel chiyusa mimeno. All of existence receives its life force, receives its chiyus from that Ratzon Hashem. And it's because Moshe Rabbeinu was mevatel all of his self. He threw out all the garbage. He was able to take out all the garbage. He got rid of every aspect of himself, all yeshus. Everything was gone, right? So that all that was left, nothing was left. And he was able to just exist together with the infinite nature of Hashem. Like the pasuk says, Moshe Rabbeinu said, "V'nachnu," which means, what are we? Meaning, Moshe Rabbeinu viewed himself as nothing. He was so humble that he was nothing. So what are we saying over here? We're saying that Moshe Rabbeinu, who is really the paradigm of what it means to be a tzaddik, what did he do that made him who he was? He was mevatel every aspect of his own existence. He was mevatel all of his physical desires. He nullified all his physical desires. He nullified all of his fears. He nullified all of his emotional responses. His worry, his anger, his stress, his regret, his depression. He nullified all of that. It was all gone, right? And by doing that, he made himself connect to become one with Hashem. He took himself into the realm of infinity. He took himself out of the realm of yeshus, of somethingness, and put himself into the realm of nothingness, or Hashemness, infinity. He was connected on the deepest level with Hashem. He's like one with Hashem. V'zeh perish vayikbor esoi bagai. This is what the pasuk means over there, where it says they buried him in a valley. Zeh bechinas ayin. Why a valley? Right? Because a valley is a low, low place. He made himself into nothingness and lowliness, shiftless. And that's where he was buried, was in a place of lowliness. Zeh bechinas ayin, k'mo shekosov, kol gei yinaseh. Like it says in Yeshaya, that all the low places will be risen up. Be'eretz Moav, in the land of Moav. Zeh bechinas malchus, sheDavid ba miMoav. That it means that all of the low places of the Malchus will be lifted back up to their place in Keser, their place in the infinite. Because who came from Moav? Was David HaMelech. Shenistalek Moshe b'toich Ein Sof. So Moshe Rabbeinu was nistalek. His soul, his existence, went up into the Ein Sof. B'toich Ratzon sheberetzonos. Into the desire of all desires. B'toich Raiva deraiven. Same thing. Shu b'chinas Ratzon Ein Sof. The desire of the infinite. Hamalubash beretzonos. The desire of the infinite gets enclosed in all kinds of different ritzonos and tumunos and pictures and images and existences and some things in the world. B'chinas malchus. But Moshe Rabbeinu got rid of all those images, all those pictures, all of those existences, and went back up into nothingness. As we said, every place that you see the greatness of Hashem, Hainu Malchus, B'chinas Raivin, wherever you see the greatness of Hashem, His desires, His Malchus, Sham Ata Roitze, there you will find Raiva, His Ratzon, the Ratzon Ein Sof, which is the depth of the absolute deepest possible recognizing point that we can see in the existence of Hashem, the desire of the infinite. The first thing that it says, by the way, in the Eitz Chaim and in the Oitzer Chaim, in all of these kabbalistic svarim, is that there was nothing, there was only the Or Ein Sof, and then the next thing it says is Ukasha'Allah beritzono, when it went up on His Ratzon. That's the only other thing at that point. There becomes a Ratzon in the Ein Sof's existence, in Hashem's existence, right? That's like the highest possible thing we can understand, right? Is this idea of Ratzon. B'zeh, and this is what it means, Mul Beis Pa'or, that Moshe was buried opposite the idol that was called Baal Pa'or. Ki Amru Chachamenu Zechron Livracha, because Chazal tell us, Lama Nikra Shmoi Pa'or, why was that idol called Pa'or? Al Shem Shepoyer Piv, because it moves its mouth. That idol, Baal Pa'or, was called Pa'or because it's Poyer Piv, it moves its mouth, it talks. It's about Dibur. Kishepoigmin b'malchus, because when we mess up the malchus, when we mess up things down here, and we mess up those letters of creation, and we mess up our Dibur, our speech, Azai yesh lekoyach lifor piv b'tzirufim roim, then it can use its mouth to speak out evil combinations of letters. In other words, what? Hashem's Malchus is revealed through the letters of creation. When they're used in the right way, we're revealing the Malchus of Hashem, and we're lifting up the Malchus of Hashem. But if we are doing Averas, and if we are acting in a way that's not acceptable, and if we're judging each other, and we're saying Lashon Hara about each other, and if we're spending all our time looking at negativity on TV shows and all this garbage, right? What are we doing? We're taking those letters of creation and those letters that are supposed to be used by our mouths to encourage people and to build up other people, and we're contorting them into evil combinations of those letters. And now that idol Baal Pa'or is able to use those letters through its koyach. Aval Moshe shetikain midas malchus, but Moshe Rabbeinu, he was the one who fixed up this midah of malchus. Al yedei zeh loy hayecholes biyad Pa'or lifor piv. Now this idol, Baal Pa'or, did not have the ability to move its mouth with these evil combinations of letters. So the way that the Gemara explains this, by the way, is that Moshe Rabbeinu is buried opposite this idol, Baal Pa'or. And every so often, that idol, Baal Pa'or, will get power from all the negative things that people are doing, and it will rise up and want to say, what's the word I'm looking for? What's a makatrig called in English? Prosecuting things against the Bnei Yisrael. But Moshe Rabbeinu's kever, he sees Moshe Rabbeinu's kever opposite him, and he's silenced. Why? Because Moshe Rabbeinu is the one who is mesakin the whole malchus. He became nothingness. He became so connected to Hashem that he can block that power because he lifted up the malchus. He fixed the malchus. This is what it means, v'lo yada ish, that no one knows where Moshe Rabbeinu was buried. Afila Moshe lo yada. Even Moshe doesn't know. Moshe Rabbeinu was totally mevatel himself to the Ein Sof. So in that sense, he doesn't exist anymore. Nobody knows where he's buried because he lost his total existence. He became one with Hashem as opposed to being a something. Right? That's what Moshe Rabbeinu did. V'chol zeh b'moisai. This was all when he died. that he left his physical existence, and he went up and became one with Hashem. Totally left his body, left all physicality, right? Aval bavadai gam b'chayav hayalo hispashtus agashmias. But also in his lifetime, he also had hispashtus agashmias. He also had times when he was removed from his physical existence. And he connected himself on such a level to the light of the infinity, to the Or Ein Sof, that he lost his physical existence at those points. He moved into such a spiritual level where he stopped existing at points. Aval, ha'ispashtus, ha'yebebechinas, ve'achayos, ratzoi v'shoiv. But this hispashtus agashmias, this leaving of his physical bounds and existing on a purely spiritual level, was in the fashion of what the Tanakh says, v'hachayos ratzoi v'shoiv. These angels that are called chayos, they would run up and back. They would go up and return. That's the way that these angels are explained. This is a tremendous concept over here. That a tzaddik who's able to reach such a level of connection to Hashem, he can't hold on to it. He can't hold on to it forever. Right? So what happens? He's able to get into this state of existence of total self-nullification, total spiritual existence, and connect on such a crazy level where his body, the Tanya says, explains this like this, that his soul wants him to die. His soul wants to leave his body and stay in that connection, right? But that's not what's supposed to happen. So he has to come back down. He can't hold that level of existence. So he goes up and he gets into this crazy, unbelievable state of existence, and then he comes back down, right? He has to come back down. This is called Ratzah V'Shoiv. And this concept of Ratzah V'Shoiv is going to filter down to all of us on our own level as well. And I'm so sure, at least with many people that I know well at this table, that we have experienced this, where sometimes we get into extremely spiritually high states, right? And we just wish that we could hang on to those states, right? But we can't. We're there for a little while, and then we come back down again, right? And we're going to hear about this right now, a little bit. But this is where that tzaddik is holding. Ki HaKadosh Baruch Hu roitze b'avodaseinu. Why can't he stay in that state? Why can't he just lose his physicality and just be with Hashem? Because that's not what Hashem wants. Hashem, yeah?
It says Baba the same new, not Baba.
Right. Meaning what?
It's already talking about.
Already talking about us. Yeah. Right. Because why? Because Hashem wants our avodah. Hashem doesn't want us to just live for a little while, get to a super high level, and then float up to heaven like an angel with wings and a halo, right? That's not what he wants. He wants us to live in the world, and he wants our avodah. He wants us to keep being masakein, to keep making tikkunim, to keep fixing things, and to keep bringing the world up, lifting the world up. Shmuel is pointing out that he says over here, he's talking about Moshe Rabbeinu, but he switches over here and says, Hashem wants our avodah. Not Moshe couldn't go there because Hashem wanted his avodah. He's already talking about us. Like the pasuk says, you desire praise from the mounds of dust, from the lumps of clay. 1 second. He wants the avodah from us, from our physicality. He wants us to exist in this level. Therefore, we can't stay like that, right? Ella. Until it comes to the time when Hashem comes himself and takes our neshama back. When he wants us, it's our time to go. Right? Then Hashem takes our neshama. That's our time to go. But until that time, we have work to do. And Hashem wanted it. He didn't make us angels. Right? We are higher than the angels. The angels are jealous of us. Right? Because we through our avodah, the way Hashem made us, we can reach levels way higher than the angels. They're robots, programmed to do what they're supposed to do. We have the ability to struggle. We have the ability to fight. We have the ability to deny Hashem. Right? An angel can't do that. Right? And so too, we have the ability to take the lowest things and to lift them up to the highest places. So when we find ourselves in low places and experiencing tremendous difficulty, we have to know that, and we have to always, it's something that Rabbi Nachman talks about, Breslov Torah, that was one of the most important things that I ever heard. I never heard this anywhere else. Other people talk about it a little bit, but Rabbi Nachman talks about it all the time. And that is that we are meant to experience difficulty. It's not supposed to be perfect, right? Why? Because we are supposed to be able to go down to those places. And when our avodah is difficult, when serving Hashem is hard, you know why it's hard? Because we're reaching harder, we're reaching deeper, and we're working harder. And when we do that, we're able to lift ourselves up much, much higher. And we're able to make tikkunim, we're able to fix things that couldn't be fixed if we weren't down in those places, down in those low places of existence. That's where we're supposed to be. Hashem made it that way, right? So we can't just, people say it all the time. I don't really often think that they fully have thought it through. But we're not meant to be someone who goes up onto a mountain and just meditates forever, right? Because sometimes we are supposed to do that, right? That is a Jewish practice, right? But we can't only do that. And we can't only try to reach some type of enlightenment and spiritual existence that we just leave our bodies. It's not what Hashem wants. So that's where we find ourselves. V'zeh she'anu roim, and we see this ourselves. Listen to this. Shelifamim nislahiv adam b'toicha tefillah. Sometimes a person can get nislahiv, fiery. Sometimes a person can feel fire in their avodas Hashem, can feel fire in their tefillah. Audrey, we're talking about this, right? Sometimes we get a connection on a certain level and it's fiery. We feel it very strongly, right? And we end up that some of our davening, or whatever situation we're in, some of those words are with tremendous, with a mitabren, as we say, right? With hislavus. I don't like translating it. With fire. This is because at that point, Hashem is smiling on you, and Hashem is giving you a gift. Hashem is showing you that you're on the right track. Why? What is happening when that's happening? Hashem has opened the light of infinity and shined it on you. Do you hear that? When you experience His lavus, when you experience fire in your tefillah, or fire in a certain mitzvah or a certain situation, can I say those words again? It's because Hashem has opened the light of the infinity and shined it upon you. That's what you're feeling. And when a person sees this enlightenment, these sparks, and even if you don't see it, if you're not on the level where you can see kabbalistically the doors of the Shemayim and this level and this is all opening up and coming down, your mazel sees it, meaning a deeper level of your existence sees it and feels it. Teichef nislahev nishmasa the devekus gadol, and right away you have a feeling of fiery devekus, connection to Hashem. Ledabek esatzmei be'or einsof, to connect yourself to the light of the infinity. Ucheshir his galus einsof, and to the level, to the extent to which there's a revelation of infinity on you, of einsof on you. Lefi minyan hateva sheniftechu v'hisnaitzitzu, according to that level, that amount of tefillah that you were able to say with that sensation, that amount of his boidadus, you were able to feel that devekus in. Kol elu hatevos omer b'devekus gadol. You say all those words with tremendous devekus, tremendous connection to Hashem. Uve mesiras nafshay, uve bittul koichosav, with mesiras nefesh. What does mesiras nefesh mean in this case? What does it mean usually? What? Self-sacrifice. Mesiras nefesh means I'm giving up my life. I'm sacrificing myself. In colloquial terms, we mean it to say I'm trying really hard. It's mamash mesiras nefesh, right? But it means sometimes Yidden in the past have had to be moser nefesh. We've actually had to give up our lives for Hashem. And sometimes when we get onto this level, this tremendous illumination and his lavus and fiery connection to Hashem, at that moment, we literally don't care about anything else. We don't care about existence. Nothing else matters at that moment, right? If anyone's experienced this, I know a few people have, right? Nothing else matters. That's hispashtus agashmius to a certain extent. That is mesiras nefesh to a certain extent. Because life doesn't matter right now, right? Unbelievable. Ubebittel koichosov. And all of my koiches, all of the things that I need to do or that I can do or that the I, me things are gone. Nothing matters. Ubishash and nisbatel legabe einsof, and at the time when a person is nisbatel, totally batel to the einsof, azai hu bebechinas veloy yada ish. Then you're in this space, this existence of the existence that nobody knows. Why? Because it's nothing. There's nothing to know. Shafilu hu ba'atzmai eino yodeya me'atzmai. A person doesn't even know their own existence because there's nothing to know. Aval zois habechina tzarich liyos rotze v'shoev. But this existence has to be in a give and take. It has to be in a sometimes I get there and then I come back down. I can't live at that level of existence all the time. Kadeshi yiskayim yeshusai, in order so that I can continue to exist. So the level that Moshe Rabbeinu reached in this realm, we're talking about some of our own experiences where we've had a real spiritual high, right? Maybe sometimes it's like Yom Kippur by Ne'ilah, where we're screaming, and we're giving it all we got, and there's nothing else to give. Maybe it was just times of hisbodedus, or meditation, where we reached a tremendous connection, right? Whatever it is. Moshe Rabbeinu's version of this was like on steroids. It was like a whole different existence. A tzaddik is able to live in this world on a much more regular basis, right? It's a whole different existence. He's giving us an example about how sometimes we can feel it a little bit, right? But the real existence of a tzaddik is like back and forth, is reaching that level and retaining something from it. Nimtza, when it comes to the point where the tzaddik is in the state of return, meaning they've gone to that spiritual place and they've come back, then the person has to take that experience and put it onto their mind. Because at the beginning, when he reached that level, he had a total nullification of his own mind. Meaning, it's not there. That experience is not there. Because there is nothing. There was nothing to imprint that experience onto, and there was nothing to even experience that experience, if that makes any sense. That's why Moshe Rabbeinu didn't even know where he was buried. Moshe Rabbeinu didn't even really understand that aspect. Why? Because at the time of complete connection to infinity, there's nothing left of you for that experience to be imprinted on. Right? And when a person comes back to existence, that he goes back to his own mindset and his own existence, he goes back to his own mind. When that happens, then he knows, he has something on his mind, which he uses the term a little bit later on here, of a reshima. In kabbalistic terminology, it's called reshimu, which I think in modern Hebrew we just call it a reshima, meaning an imprint. There's an imprint that's left on the mind. Something's there, right? It's not the full experience, but there's an imprint left there. And he knows that. Va'azai ein chiluk bein Hashem le'elokim. And at that point, this is the real deal, folks. This is the real deal. What that person has experienced and the imprint that is left on that person's knowledge and das, there's no difference between Hashem and Elokim at that point. Bein midas hadin lemidas harachamim. There's no difference between what we perceive to be bad and what we're perceived to be good. And if you remember, way back at the beginning of this Torah, at the very, very beginning, we said the introduction to this whole Torah is Kisha Adam Yedeya Shekol Me'er Reisav Hein L'Toivasai. When a person knows that everything that happens to him is for his good, Zois habechina hi me'ein olam haba. That level of understanding and connection is a glimpse of olam haba. And what did we say? Like the pasuk says, Ba'Hashem ahal davar, be'Elokim ahal davar. that I see those things that appear to be good in the world, which are representative of the name Hashem, Yud Kei Vav Kei, which is the name of Chesed, are the exact same thing as the Elokim things, as those things that appear to be bad, that come from the side of Gevura. Everything is one. Everything is the same. When we go through our lives, it's not so easy to see that, right? Anyone here ever experienced any difficulty? He said jokingly, right? You'll see the more you talk to people about their experience that everyone is having a hard time, and everyone experiences tremendous difficulty, some more than others, for sure, right? But we can't see the world so clearly that everything is 100% good. We try and we try and we try, and sometimes we get there, but still, it's hard. And we see good and we see bad, right? And we just can't get out of that. It's not our existence at this moment. But what we can do is let's say like this. What a tzaddik can do, a tzaddik can get up to that place where he's lost his existence and he's totally in the realm of the oneness of Hashem. And in that place, there's bevadai no difference between good and bad. Nothing whatsoever, right? And when he comes back down, there's a little imprint of that. So he has a little imprint that everything is good and that Hashem and Elohim are the same thing. He has a little imprint of Olam Haba. There's a famous story, by the way. If I remember correctly, this story was from one of the Talmidim of the Magid, of the Mizritcher Magid, I think. So this Talmud of the Mizritcher Magid, sorry if I don't have the characters correct, but I think this is the story. Talmud of the Mizritcher Magid was experiencing, the city that he was in was having a lot of bad stuff going on. There was disease and there was poverty and there was fires breaking out. Really bad things were happening in the city. And so they decided that they were going to do what's called a she'ilas chalem, where they're going to go into a dream state using their kabbalistic expertise that we don't probably know about. I don't anyway, maybe anyone here? No? So they were going to go into this dream state to ask his Rebbe, the Mizritcher Magid, to do something in Shemaim. Like help us. We're experiencing terrible difficulty down here. Aren't you supposed to be, asking on our behalf and pleading for us, right? So he went up and he accomplished this experience. And when he got to the Magid in this dream state, he said to him, this is what's going on. Can you please, intercede on our behalf? Daven, ask Hashem, ask the higher, ask the Malachim, whatever. Do something to help us. So what did the Magid say to him? He said, so it's a good thing that you came, because if you wouldn't have told us, to us, everything looks perfect. Everything is exactly the way it's supposed to be. We don't see anything bad. We don't see anything bad at all. But now that you've come to tell us what's going on there, first of all, you see the importance of tefillah, right? And how our connection, our experience is important, right? Now I will do what I can on the behalf of this town, right? Meaning what? From those views of closer to infinity and closer to oneness, we see everything the way it's supposed to be. It looks all good, right? So when we get there, when we get to that state, we can see it like that. And when we come down from that state, it leaves a bit of an imprint. And the more we go up to that state and come down, and go up to that state and come down, the more that imprint remains and the stronger it gets. And the more we're able to see Hashem in the world. And not just negativity, right? Whew. I love this Torah. Okay. Ki be'ein soif, that's where we are, right? And we'll finish up right here after this paragraph. Ki be'ein soif, ein shayach chas v'shalom shinui ratzain. In the infinity, in Hashem, in the Ein Sof, there's no such thing as shinui ratzain, meaning changing of existence, changing of forms, changing of the mind of Hashem, whatever that even means. Ki hashinuyim einam ela b'shinui hatamunos, because differences only exist once there's form. Differences only exist once there's form. Ava al yedei hadveikus shel adam be'Ein Sof, through the absolute connection of a person to the Ein Sof, to infinity, shesham ein shinui ratzain, that up there's no shinui ratzain. Kisham ratzon pashat. There's only a simple, single ratzon. Va'achar kach nishar boy rishimu me'achdus hazois. And afterwards, there remains in this person's mind an imprint. That's the word I was telling you about. Rishimu, an imprint of this in the person's mind. Achar kach naisiv b'chinas v'shoyev. Then he comes back down to his regular existence. Azai harashimu mare ledas. Then that imprint leaves a vision on his mind, an imprint on his mind. Sheyedu shekula toyev v'chulei echad. That he knows that everything's good and everything is one. Wow. So meaning what? That in the existence of the Ein Sof, the Ratzon of the Ein Sof, this is brought down in the Hilchos Yesodei Torah of the Rambam, where he discusses the existence of Hashem, and it's all in Kabbalah. But Hashem, that absolute infinite oneness, and his Ratzon, his desire, are one existence, or one non-existence, but it's just one pure, simple existence. Right? Did I ever tell you guys that I love using the word pashut, simple, to describe Hashem on the highest levels? Right? Why? Because the more complicated something is, it means the more different things are existing within it. The more finite objects are piled together, making more of a finite mess and making things more complicated. The higher we go up in connection to Hashem, things don't become more complicated. They become more simple. Absolute simplicity. There's only one existence, and the desire and the existence are one in a way that we can't understand. But so when we get up there, we see that singular ratzon, that singular desire of Hashem. It's only as it filters down into the physical realms, and it goes through Ak and Atzilus and Yetzira and Bria and Yetzira and Asiya, and comes down into the physical universe, that singular infinite ratzon gets fanned out into multiple existences and multiple desires, right? That's the world we live in. Everything looks separate and different. But up there it's all one. So when this person gets up there and experiences that oneness, there's an imprint left on his existence after that of the oneness. He's still in this world, and he still doesn't see everything like he did up there, but there's an imprint of the oneness, right? So we're going to have to say next week, actually we have, we have to do like 2 more minutes, because it's right before the story of Rabbi Bar Chana. That's going to be the place we start next. V'zeh sha'amar Moshe l'dorei. And this is what Moshe Rabbeinu said to his generation. Ata haresa ladas, ki Hashem hu ha'elokim. So what happened at Har Sinai, where it says that the Shiva Rekim, the Zion Rekim opened up, all of the universes opened up, and everyone saw She'ein oid milvadai, that there's only Hashem. Everyone saw infinity at that point. What did Hashem say to that generation? Ata haresa ladas, you have been shown to know. What did he say? He didn't say that you saw the Ein Sof. He said, Ki Hashem hu ha'elokim. That the name of Hashem, which is chesed, which is those things that look to us to be good, is Elokim. Is that same name that is the midah of din, that look the things that appear to us to be bad. All those things are all from the same source. They're all one. That's what Moshe Rabbeinu said to the people. The people who experience infinity, they're able to see that everything in the world is good. Even the stuff that appears bad, right? That's what Moshe Rabbeinu said to them. Ki Moshe hu bechinas ayin, because Moshe lived in this realm of nothingness, or of connection to infinity. V'dorer hadevukim elov, and his generation that was davuk to him, that was connected, clinging to him. Roy lahem ladas. It's fitting for them to know. They had the ability to know. Hainu laha'ir ladas. They were shown to know. Bechinas Ein Sof, this aspect of infinity, of the existence of infinity, Bechinas Raiva Deraivan, the desire of all desires, the absolute infinite one desire and existence of the Ein Sof, Bechinas Hashem Hu Ha'elokim, which is that Hashem and Elokim are the same thing. It's all the one existence of the Ein Sof. Everything that happens in the world, good and bad, is all the same Ratzon Hashem. And that's what a tzaddik has. And that's what a tzaddik has the ability to help us with. The tzaddik who is connecting on this level can see a whole different vision of the world. right? If we're experiencing tremendous difficulty, things are going bad, and we need advice, and we go to someone who is just a regular person, right? So what are they doing? They're just as lost as we are, right? It's the blind leading the blind, spiritually, literally. It's the blind leading the blind. It's those who don't have any spiritual vision advising those who don't have any spiritual vision, right? A tzaddik who's been up to these levels and come down, and been up to these levels, come down, and every time he does that, he gets an impression of infinity in his mind. He's looking at the world from a whole different perspective. He can see what's really happening to our lives. He can see what we're really supposed to learn from the situations that are going on, right? And he's the one who we want to go in front of and connect to. So that's why, this is the reason why it's so important and so amazing to connect to tzaddikim. Because they're able to see a perspective of existence that is just way beyond us, right? And they can see what needs to happen in the world. They can see what my problems are and what my deficiencies are. And they can see how I can fix those and what I should be doing and what I shouldn't be doing, because they're looking at everything from way up here, from a whole different perspective. Wow. So, Be'ez Hashem, we should merit to continue to remember, as we said in the previous shiurim, to work at connecting to tzaddikim, right? That means, for us here, that means that we are learning the Sfarim of Rabbi Nachman, and we are hearing what he has to say and following his advice, and putting our energy into it, and making that our priority. And if we're giving tzedakah, we're going to make sure that some of our tzedakah goes to further the message of that tzaddik. And we're going to do his boidus. And through the advice of Rabbi Nachman, we're going to be mizvadeh. We're going to unleash all of our secrets to Hashem in the way that Rabbi Nachman told us to do. And by doing all of this, we're going to connect ourselves on a deeper and deeper level to the tzaddik of Rabbi Nachman. And through that, we're going to be able to see the world in a different way. And through his Torahs and through those who study his Torahs, we're going to be able to receive the guidance that we need, and we're going to be able to navigate the world from a whole different level of existence. Be'ez Hashem. Next week, we'll start with the story of Rabbi Bar Chana, which is going to be where we begin to bring all of the concepts from the last, how many? 5 shiurim? Whatever. All the last lessons that we had together, all down into one package. Be'ez Hashem. Should I get any questions? Yeah.
Someone else?
Yeah, Larry?
I must be missing something.
Yeah.
It's okay to ask a question outside of the taping and everything right now? I'll just
Yeah,
ask.
I mean, the tape's on, but you can ask. Yeah.
So, we spend so much of our time reading or hearing or thinking about judgment after our 120 years. After 120 years, go to Shemayim.
Yeah.
And we're going to get deemed. There's going to be a big judgment. We're going to be judged. Did this wrong. We didn't fulfill this. We didn't do that. And I understand what's being said, and it's beautiful what's being said.
Yeah.
But if it's true that Elohim and Hashem are the same, and the bad is the good and the good is the bad, it's all unified, and it's not mattering, why is so much energy and discussion spent? Is it because we're not tzaddikim? Why is there so much energy talking about judgment? And when at the end of days, our days, whatever we did good, whatever we did bad, at the end, if we're that high, if our neshama are that high,
Yeah.
in Ein Sof or lower Bria or in Seer, wherever, or not Atzilus, wherever, this whole business of judgment sort of, I don't quite understand it based on what we're talking about tonight.
Right. So what aspect of judgment specifically you're speaking about? Like where, just a little bit more.
My perception
Yeah.
is that there is a court of judgments.
Yes.
And this is my understanding.
Right.
And so why is there a judgment if good is bad and bad is good? Like, why is there a court? Why?
Right. Okay, I hear what you're saying. I think.
Maybe
Okay.
not, but
I think I hear what you're saying. So, kind of a lot to discuss, but let's put a few things down on the table and see how it goes. First of all, if we are, I think in our time where we're holding right now in existence, where we're at the end of a long cycle of existence, and we've been through a lot, and there's been a lot of pain, I'm saying, over the millennia, right? and we find ourselves now at the end in a different world than we've ever existed in before, I very, very strongly believe that now is not the time for this type of thought process, judgment, and whatever. And if you hang around here and learn the Torah of Rabbi Nachman and Torah Chassidus, this is one of the things that the Baal Shem Tov did. He brought us into a new way of existence and a new vision of the world, where it's not really about that judgment. And in certain times of existence, that viewpoint was important, and that viewpoint worked. Just like when we had a Beis HaMikdash, we had a death penalty, right? And we had very strong Midas Adin working in this way, and that's the way, and that was good, right? And people heard that, and that was what they needed to hear, and it was strong and it worked. You'll hear all the Torah Chassidus. We're never talking about doom and gloom and judgment and this kind of thing, right? Because, first of all, it's the time that we're in now, this is the Torah that we need, in my opinion, right? But also, on a deeper level, one of the other things that the Baal Shem Tov did and the Chassidus does, is it brings a deeper understanding of what's really going on into our daily existence. So I got to tell you this is Mamash Mina Shemayim, because someone sent me a question this week from a Chassidish person who grew up in, I won't say which Chassidus, but a very big, well-known Chassidus, totally Yiddish-speaking, the hats, the streimels, and the bekishes and everything, right? Yiddish, and this person is in their 30s, something like that now, and they're having kind of an awakening. And they went through a lot of pain and a lot of difficulty, and they're trying to make sense of life. And this person said, I'm having trouble connecting to Hashem because the way that I was taught, and I've never been taught differently, is it's all just a game. And if I do something good, I get 15 points. And if I do something bad, I get 15 points taken away. And it just seems stupid to me, and I don't understand it, and I can't connect to it. And they said the words, I feel like I have a 2-year-old understanding of God. Right? So this type of understanding and viewpoint conveys a certain aspect of our relationship to Hashem. And there is a Beis Din Shamala. There is a court in heaven that weighs what we've done, the good things and the bad things that we've done. Right? But on a deeper level, what Kabbalah and the way it's filtered, especially through Chassidus, what it does for us is it explains to us what does that really mean on a deep, intrinsic, essential soul level, right? And what it means is that what all of this is telling us is that everything that I do in the negative realm puts a blockage between me and Hashem and separates me from Hashem, right? And whenever I do Averas, right, it does something negative. It puts up a wall, it puts up a klipa, and separates me from Hashem. Separates my soul existence from Hashem. In the words of I'm not sure if it's the Tanya or maybe it's I think it's brought in the Tanya. I saw it in a letter I think from the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe. Talked about that when you do an Aveira, it's like you have a big rope that connects you to Hashem. And when you do an Aveira, it's like you cut one of those strings that make up the whole rope, right? The rope can never be fully severed. That's a falsehood, right? But that's one way of looking at it. The other way of looking at it is you put up a wall. You put up a blockage between you and Hashem, right? And when you do tshuva, right? And when you fix yourself, so you remove that blockage. All the things that we're talking about now, about when you're mevatel these aspects of you, it's tshuva. It's fixing those things that you messed up. It's removing your ego, removing your anger, removing your desires, removing all these things. You're taking away those things that block you from Hashem. In another perspective, right, there's a court saying you can't come in because you did this, and this, right? But from a kabbalistic view and a Hasidic view, it's you've put too many layers between you and Hashem, and you need to remove those layers. And when you remove those layers, you'll be right connected to Hashem. You'll be mevatel, you'll be ayin, and you'll connect to Insof, right? It's really the same thing from a different perspective. And depending on where we are in our life, in our level of education, and I think personally, totally from me, you don't have to, right? That depending on where we are in absolute existence, of the existence of the world, right? We need a certain perspective to understand it. And it's the same idea through a different perspective. Does that make sense?
Totally.
Totally accept now that everything that happens to me or to anybody else is for our own good. First, I learned it intellectually, and then through experience, then I can understand that a lot better and accept that. What I cannot accept is the concept that there's no evil in this world. That I cannot accept. Because human history is such a... There were so many incredibly dark periods in human history. The Holocaust, for instance. I mean, the horrors that happened. There's so many people that close their door on religion, on spirituality, because they were so traumatized. So what's the good? Where is the silver lining in going to a concentration camp? I just, I struggle with that.
Yeah, I struggle with that too.
Yeah.
It's a hard one to understand. There's a theory. There's a theoretical way to look at it, and then there's an emotional, personal way to look at it, right? Like so too, if you know someone who's experienced loss of a loved one, right? So when they're experiencing it, and when they're struggling with it, the last thing that person wants or needs is for you to be like, oh, no, you don't get it. It's all good, really. And this is why it's happening, and this and this. And what do you mean? There's a reason. Of course there's a reason. Of course it's all good, right? That's like the worst thing that you could do to that person. Because when we have emotion mixed in with this theoretical understanding, right? It's a different aspect. So we can have a theoretical understanding of it, and we could even, with mashalim, right, with parables, explain to ourselves what might be going on, right? Mm-hmm. But when it comes down to it, all that pain, certainly the pain of the Holocaust to many, is still too fresh for us to understand it. We can very easily, often, talk about Mitzrayim and be like, yeah, I totally get it. And we don't have such an emotional attachment to it often. And we can say, when we hear the stories, and they were taking our babies and putting them into bricks to build walls with, right? Like, that's absolutely horrific and terrible. And if we really felt that, we also wouldn't be able to stomach the story of Yetzias Mitzrayim, right? So we have some time from that, and we're able to see it in a theoretical way a lot easier. So we have a lot of ways of looking at it, and to be honest, I don't want to attempt to explain why these horrors happen and why they're actually good. We have a theory that really they're good, and if we reach that level, and when we pass on to the next world, we'll understand. I don't understand right now why that's good. I can say I believe that there is a reason why it's good, but I don't get it, and I don't even really I don't have the desire to really figure it out at this point.
The theory,
does that make sense?
Yes, but the theory, Hasidus, what does
Yeah.
it say about good and evil? Because there is this duality of
Yeah.
concept of good and evil.
Yeah.
So, or maybe there isn't, because it's saying being soft. Maybe it's all a human construct. I don't know. I really have to.
This is exactly the point that we're saying over here. Is really, the theory is really that 100% everything that happens in the world is 100% good. And we don't understand it. Now, a very simple mashal, just so we get it out on the table to think about it, is a little child. That's always the way that we look at the situation. When you have a little child that is misbehaving, right? So what do you do to that child? I don't know. Well, we don't do it nowadays, but we used to give him a smack, right? People don't seem to do that anymore these days. I don't do it, but right. So you give him a smack, and to that child, it's the worst thing that has ever happened and there's no good in the world at that moment. Everything's terrible, right? But why is the parent doing it? Because the child needs to understand something. They need to learn something. And I told a story a couple weeks ago about this crazy grandmother whose grandchild kept running out to the street, a busy street. So one day, the grandmother took this little kid and took the kid's favorite teddy bear, and they walked hand in hand out to the street, and she waited till a semi-trailer was coming down and threw the kid's favorite teddy bear right under the wheels of this semi-trailer zooming down the street so that it would get destroyed, and the kid flipped out, and I don't know what kind of long-term damage this kid is going to experience. But this was what this lady wanted to do to teach the kid a lesson. Another story I remember hearing from in the name of, I think, Shlomo Volbe, was that imagine you have a kid who's playing in the bathtub, and he has a little thing here, and he's pretending it's a boat. He has another one, he's pretending it's a barge, I don't know, or a dock, whatever, and he's playing, right? And you're telling the kid, come on, it's time to get out. Let's go. It's time to get out. Come on, and he's not listening. So the parent grabs the boat from the child and grabs a little toy from the child and says, enough already. It's time to get out. Pulls the boat away and pulls the child out, and the child is screaming and freaking out, right? So Rav Volbe said, who was like known to be a master of education and understanding children, he said, you didn't just take a toy out of the kid's hand. That boy was on this boat, and his imagination, he saw everything that was happening, and he saw the ocean, and he saw the water, and he was on this boat, and he was the guy driving the boat. He was doing this whole thing, and you pulled him out of that, right? You did that to him. Meaning what? What's the point of these ideas? Is that the things that happen to children when we're trying to teach them, when they don't understand, they literally are, at that moment of that kid's life, the worst thing that's ever happened to them. And the worst thing that could possibly be happening to them at that point. That's what their experience is, right? And a higher intellect and a higher understanding is like, this kid cannot stay in the bathtub. They're turning into a prune, and it's late, and they need to go to sleep because they're not going to be tired in the morning. And they see the whole thing, and they know that it's 100% good for this kid to come out of the bath, and they got to take the boat away. Time has come, right? That's a simple story, a simple mashal for us to be able to begin to view ourselves as children who don't get it. We don't have the perspective, and we can't understand it. Our tradition tells us, our connection to the infinite tells us, right? Our spiritual connection, all of our svarim and our tradition, all the way from Sinai, our solid, strong tradition tells us that this is the way it is. And we have emunas chachamim, we have emunah in our own neshamas, and we have emunah in Hashem, that this is the way it really is. There are things we don't understand, that's totally okay. We are not the infinite. And we're allowed to not be okay with certain things and to feel that way. It's okay, right? And the one thing we shouldn't do is lie to ourselves and pretend that we're okay with it, right? It's okay to not be okay with it. Say, I understand, I get what it is. I don't feel it personally. But then package that up and give that back to Hashem. I don't understand Hashem. That's okay. To dwell on it and to be involved in anger, that's something we should try to avoid. Right? Does that make sense?
Totally.
Yeah? Yeah?
Thank you.
Anyone else before we pack up here?
Just thinking,
Yeah.
if you have a lot of emunah,
Yeah.
does that mean that you just don't cry out to Hashem anymore? Believe Hashem is going to take care of things. So isn't it good that we have some angst or worries or something like that? I don't know. What do you think?
That's a great
It's a conflict.
great observation. So the way that Rabbi Nachman explains it is that if we don't awaken ourselves to the existence of Hashem and to connection with Him, then He has to wake us up, and He has to send things that are enclosed in all the kinds of things that we fear. So all those scary things that happen to us are to wake us up. So what that means is that if we would, if we're really awake to Hashem and we're really connected, then we have a connection. We may not be screaming, Hashem, please send me more money. Please send me this. Please send me that. You're absolutely right. But we would be on such a devekistic connection that we would be constantly talking to Hashem. Right? just not from that place of I need.
From gratefulness.
Gratefulness and just like absolute blissful connection.
So I was wondering a similar thing when you were saying this year. I had this question about specifically Moshe Rabbeinu. You know, if Moshe's the epitome of the one who understands this concept better than anybody, right? That it's all the same, chesed and din. There's no difference. And why is he always the one who's telling Hashem, you know, enough, you know, defending the Jewish people, don't do this, forgive them for that, forgive them for that. If they're supposed to be getting what they're supposed to be getting, and it's all the same, and it's all good, why does Moshe care?
Right.
And I think I'm trying to figure out an answer in my head about it.
Yeah.
That when you said someone has a lot of emunah, then do they cry out anymore? The answer is yes, for the other person's pain.
Right.
They don't care about their own pain anymore because they don't feel pain anymore. If you're not feeling pain, you're the only pain that you're perceiving is when someone else is in pain, and you want them to not be in pain anymore.
Right. There's a lot of people out there who are in pain because they are in the dark, and they don't see what's going on, right? And unfortunately, you may be aware of this, but it's not something that you can just tell to someone. Here's what's really happening. Got it? Okay. Right? Doesn't work like that. Emunah and dealing with your own situation is a process that is individually tailored to each person, and they're supposed to experience whatever they're experiencing exactly in that way. And sometimes people have to develop over a long period of time to get to a level of emunah, right? And we go through, which is one of the things we're talking about, we go through difficult times. We go through difficult times where we don't see that, right? We are working towards, our job is to work towards getting more highs and more connection more often, right? Where we feel that. But when we don't feel that, we feel pain. So Moshe Rabbeinu, he's plugged in. He understands everything, right? But he also knows that his people are in pain. And he knows that he can't just tell them, don't worry guys, it's all good. Because they need to feel it also to be out of that pain. And if they felt it, if they saw what he saw, they would also be okay, right? I think. Sort of what you're saying, no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It says that the reason he was Moshe Rabbeinu, he's the one who he went out and saw amongst his brothers the pain that they were in.
Yeah.
That's what he saw. That's why he said, okay, something has to happen.
Right. Okay. Very good, everybody. Shkoyach.